Okay. Okay, and then with the situation that's going on in Wichita now, or the world, the pandemic, it reminds me of a story my father had told me a long time ago. And he had told me about when he referred to the old man, I remember him referring to Chief Stumblingbear, which was my great grandfather and his grandfather. But this story was told to his dad, which was my grandfather, Andrew Stumblingbear. And he told my dad that there would be a illness that couldn't be cured. And for a long time, since he told me that story, I thought it was cancer. But then with this, kind of makes you wonder with this pandemic, the way it is now, all over the world, so it just, sometimes you got to listen to the old folks because they know what they're talking about. And you don't get to be old by not listening. So that's just a thought that I had with this pandemic thing starting, and hopefully it'll be done. So, and anyway, like I say, my father came up here during the war and worked with a lot of other displaced Indians, and we, what I remember was there was a Indian Southern Baptist Church and a Methodist Church, and to me, thinking back about it now, there was a kind of a separation because Indian Southern Baptist Church seems like a lot of the people that went to that church didn't go to powwows or take part in their culture, and the Methodist Church was, to me, a lot different. We went to the Methodist, but sometimes we go to Indian Southern Baptist just to change up, I guess. But like I say, the Indian Southern Baptist seemed to look down on people that went to powwows and whatnot. But I'm glad we went the other way and went to church and went to powwows. So and kept the culture alive. I don't know why they wanted you to disregard your culture after, I guess God loves you either way, especially if you're involved in your culture. But anyway, let's see. There was a lot of people that with the Indian church, the Indian Methodist Church, we played. We had ball teams and basketball teams, and I remember going, and the older men had a softball team and a baseball team. But about the time we started playing, it was just softball for the older folks, and then the younger ones played baseball, and we'd go and play. We'd go and watch the older people play first, and then we'd come in and play second, and then there was a good bringing the community together again to watching the Harjos, and there was all different tribes, Creeks, Cherokees, Kiowa Comanches, and like I say, everybody seemed to get along a lot better back then. But I don't know what's going on with the world nowadays. And then, like I say, we lived up north, and ran behind the fog truck, and I remember both my folks working then, and I think we did something to make them stop both working because me and my brother was older, a couple of years older, and everybody would leave. I had sisters too, but they were going to school. Everybody would leave for school and work, and me and my brother was the only ones in grade school, and they'd expect us to get ready and go to school. So back then, and I don't know why we stayed home, because back then we only had 3 stations on the TV, and they're black and white, and so we decided to stay home and watch TV. And I don't know how, it must have been 2 or 3 days. I thought it was longer. But then somebody came to our house and knocked on the door, and my brother said, we wasn't going to answer it, and my brother said, go answer it. Might be somebody, something's going on, answer it. So he picked me to go answer the door. So I went and said hello, and it turned out it was the principal of our school. And the school was just a couple blocks from the house. Anyway, it was him. He said, how come you guys aren't in school? I said, oh, we're sick. So anyway, he must have went back to the school, because that night when the folks got home from work, they asked us And I knew he had called or something. Why we weren't at school? Because you were sick. But we just stayed at home goofing around, really. And but after that, we got persuaded, more or less, to go back to school every day. And my mother persuaded us, and then pretty soon after that, when we moved from up north to the Planeview area. My mother quit working, so she was home all the time. So we didn't give that chance anymore. And then when we moved down to Planeview, the grade school was right out our front door then, so I had to go to school. But it was just one of those kid things that you do. And as far as discipline, I remember my mother was a disciplinarian because she was there with us most of the time, and she was adapting a lot of. She'd I don't ever remember ever getting hit with a bell or anything. She'd always have whatever was handy with her, a spoon, wooden spoon, or hairbrush, or whatever, or hand. So you either got hit with a hand or whatever she had in her hand anyway. But we, we probably weren't any worse than some kids. I mean, we got disciplined and when we needed to be, but we grew up in a fairly good household, I think. No different from anybody else. I mean, I don't think there was any angels back then in the community at our age. And when we moved back into the Planeview area, there seemed to be a lot more Indian families around. So, we just ran around with a lot of people around that area. My gentleman, I call him our brother, but in a way, he's your brother. They lived down 2 doors down from us, and he was a Comanche Kiowa, and since he was a teacher there at Haskell for a long time, that's where he retired out of. His name was Mike Tosi, and come to find out later on in life, he really enjoyed spending time at our house because I don't know, maybe his home life wasn't as good as I thought it was, but he really enjoyed my family and my folks treated him like one of us. I mean, hollered at him when he did something wrong and whatnot. But anyway, a good story about me and him was, well, he hang around with my brother too, and back then there wasn't any video games, and like I say, once again, TV was very limited, and so we in the summertime or whenever we could get outside, we was always playing baseball or basketball or kickball or dodgeball they had recreations at the early morning. They had one in the morning. There was 4 different schools in the Planeview area, and 2 of them had recreations in the morning, and then in the afternoon there would be other ones that you could go up to. And we walked all over the place anyway, or ran from people. But there's always something to do. And then we had a creek running around the area, and go down there, and that's when you could walk around in the bottom of the creek and not step on glass and whatnot. There was minnows and all kinds of fish in there. And then I remember they had a peach tree in his front yard, and they're pretty good peaches. We'd pick some and eat them, but then the ones that stayed in the tree got real ripe and they get real soft. So at dusk or whatever, we get some and get on the house, either his house or my house, and there was a road in front of our house, and then there was a sidewalk that ran around by the creek area, and people would be walking back and forth, and we'd throw peaches at them, just because, I guess. And we'd never hit them, not too, we didn't try to hit them, but we'd try to make them land around them, and we'd peek above the top of the house after we threw them and see what happened, and they'd hear them and they'd be looking around, wondering what that sound was or whatnot. And looking all over. We just sit there and laugh because they never did find it. But every once in a while we hit somebody, but it was a peach. It's probably soft than anything, and you just get peach juice all over yourself. And like I say, we played. Uh, we liked dodgeball because it was just a good game to play. And back then we played with sometimes those rubber balls, and actually they hurt pretty good if they hit you hard enough somewhere. And then we'd hit people in the face and chest, and every once in a while we and this was a co-ed because girls and boys played, and every once in a while we had this little uh, between Mike and my brother, we'd each play take turns. You get a ball and you throw. If you don't know dodgeball, when you get hit with the ball, you're out. But if you catch a ball from somebody throws, they're out. Okay, so anyway, one of us would get a ball. Two of us would have a ball already, and then one of us would get a ball, and then you just barely throw it up in the air. And I don't know, everybody, there was always somebody to fall for it. They'd be sitting there and, oh, I'm going to get him out. And they're looking up at the ball coming toward him. But as the ball was coming toward him, they'd be on either side of him. You just get ready, my brother or somebody, get ready to blast him. There was a lot of people got hit in the face and the chest and knocked down. And I think it was here at the center, one of the electricians at one time, my wife was here, and she had mentioned somebody heard that name, and they mentioned to her. I think he said this. I forget what the name was, but he said he used to play volleyball, and he remembered us because I guess we had probably smashed him a couple times. To this day, they still remember. But anyway, like I say, we didn't have video games. We left the house in the morning and in the summertime, and was gone most of the day, I guess. And you go home, maybe go home for lunch and get something to eat, and then take off again, and go play baseball, whatever, and then come back. And especially in Planeview, there was all kinds of kids running around. There were black ones, white ones, and brown ones. Everybody just ran together and had a good time. And then every once in a while, you get some money together, you go swimming at Joyland. That's